on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be going over the NASDAQ futures and the SPY futures, or the MES. We just had CPI numbers released this morning, and as you can see, 9.1 versus the forecast of 8.8, so a little above the projection. For the rest of the week, we do also have PPI right here coming out Thursday, and another thing to pay attention to will be retail sales and industrial production year over year, and those will be later this week as well. We also have Michigan consumer sentiment and expectations. That'll be important too. But let's get into it. It's now 8:15 a.m. Central Standard Time, so about 45 minutes post the release of CPI, and this is a weekly chart here forming, so you can see it looks to me on the weekly, if we break lows, then I believe we'll probably hit down here. This is the 9,700 or so on the NASDAQ futures, which is the prior COVID high. So the NASDAQ is actually holding up fairly well compared to some other names. It does to me look like we have one more leg down to 340 on ES, but let's go here to the 4-hour chart, and we had this downtrend right here that we've been in, well, since the top of the year, pretty much since here. And yeah, you can see it try to break out, and today put in what looks to be a failed breakout attempt, which makes me think there is probably a high probability that we go lower. What I'm looking for would be break of pivots. So this one right here, zoom in, this pivot right here, as well as this pivot down here. So it looks to me like a fake breakout, unless this high right here of 12,215, 12,215, unless that area is broken, we're still in a downtrend. As you can see, we're still making lower highs, lower high, lower high, lower high. We just haven't made a new low in a while, so that's something to be watching out about, or watching out for. I will say the way the weekly is developing, move this back. The way the weekly is developing could be another chance to go lower. Last week looked like an inside week, so the break of last week's candle is really what you're watching for, which is 11,375 or so on the NASDAQ. ES, let's look at same type of thing. This one, it was working a pretty clear wedge. So yeah, the MES likes to, its patterns aren't usually perfect. But something like this, you see that wedge right there. If you want to learn more about wedges, I have a prior video about wedges. But now, so this is the 1-hour chart of the MES, and you can see we're working here in this this wedge, this consolidation pattern, and we busted below it. So today for me, the level 380 is pretty much it. Line in the sand. You want to be watching that level. If that level gets reclaimed, the bears very well could be trapped, and we could push higher. But if that level does not get reclaimed, or it keeps wicking at that level, I think there's a good chance we see lower. But we are starting to be a little bit oversold down here, so I wouldn't be surprised to see some chop this morning to kind of reset the technicals, cool off these technicals down here. But that to me is probably, in regards to the CPI, was probably the high. Now, elevated inflation is still a very bad thing, so I don't want you to think that that's a good thing, because it's not. But it most likely, unless gas can push back up and rally, which it hasn't been. If you've noticed, it's cooled down, and that's why I believe next month's CPI will be a little bit cooler. So I do believe the market is attempting to find a bottom. However, I do not think it's immune to another round of selling. Especially, we had Google come out this morning and say that they're, let's see exactly what they said, but something along the lines of, we're not immune to the economic damage that could happen in the second half of this year. So here we have Alphabet to slow hiring in the second half, Google parent to slow down, slow down hiring amid a global economic crisis. So I mean, the headlines are still bearish. In a bull market, in a bull trend, you would normally see positive, more upbeat words coming from the mouth of big tech, but that's not exactly what we're getting. We do have earnings coming up here at the end of July in a couple weeks on some big tech names, and I'll be curious to see what Apple does for those earnings, because I think that will dictate market direction, as well as Tesla. Tesla could still, it looks like it's trying to base, but it would not surprise me if it flushed everyone out and fell down quick and then rallied. So that's kind of my take on MES and the NASDAQ futures, as well as some earnings and CPI. So not much going on right now. This isn't exactly the best time to be trading. I think we're kind of just chopping around right now, trying to find a bottom. It's pretty easy to get chopped up and stuff like this. I personally just usually choose to avoid playing the chop until I see a clear pattern set up and a clear break. But you know, different strokes for different folks. So thanks again for watching, viewing, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Leave comments down below on anything else you guys want me to go over.